welcome back to the Komo Show. It's your girl Momo.
Hi, and this is Jane. Hello.
I hope you liked the last episode.
I loved it. A lot of people have written back saying we really enjoyed watching the episode. So many women, surprisingly.
Right, I love that. I mean, we all love the women love. I mean, men, it's okay, be offended. But thank you, women. I mean, last episode, if you guys watched it, but if you haven't, please go watch the episode. We spoke about
the poll that you left on the reel. Most people have chosen big
boobs.
boobs.
Yeah, we spoke about big boobs versus small boobs. And I went on a poll on Instagram to announce the episode, and like everybody loves big boobs. And I go, fuck yourself.
No.
I'm okay with my small boobs.
I still love small boobs because I think, aesthetics. I really think it's 100 on 100. But this is going to be a very interesting show, and I think for Indian women or women in general, anywhere across the world.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a topic where we can really get our claws out.
I'm just so excited about today's topic as well. I mean, we have again chosen something I feel which is really going to bring out such opinions and, thoughts and all of it. And do you know what we're talking about today? We are talking about, will you marry
Rich or
equal? We don't want to say poor. We're being nice. So it's a big question. But before people get confused of this is not a love versus money debate. That's not what Jane and I are doing today. We are honestly talking about the financial dynamics in a marriage in 2025.
Absolutely. It's a very weird topic to talk for me because, when you are divorced and when you're considering getting remarried, the first question most people ask me is not about marrying up or marrying equal. Mm-hmm. They're like, are you even considering marriage again?
Well, I get that, right? Because considering, like, if you're divorced, it might have things that would have not gone the way you thought so. So once bitten, twice shy. I think they come from that angle of like, don't take it to your heart.
No.
As long as you are married and you do what do you should be good.
Yeah, but while I've always thought that I'm gonna marry like equal, maybe you'll change my mind today.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this whole podcast. We discuss everything. We talk about what kind of a partner should you be looking for, and there is no right or wrong answer, but we definitely want to kind of explore. Do you want somebody who is, do you look for financial security, or do you look for financial equality when you're looking for a partner? Do you believe that one person should take a financial lead, or both partners should share their bills equally? Which side are you on?
So at this point in time, because I think I've been raised on a very staple middle class mentality, and I've seen my parents do this, both are teachers and both have equally built their life. Mm-hmm. Maybe because of my, upbringing and the marriage that I had for the first time, which actually was not a bad marriage. There were other issues, but I think financially, two people being equal, somehow that is what I am raised on, right? So this is what I believe in, maybe because that is in my gene makeup at this point in time.
Okay, so we're gonna also take a poll at the end of both of us what we're saying, but right now Jane is saying that if she marries again,
yes,
she is gonna marry equal,
yes,
rather than rich.
Yes.
I'm already married. My husband, darling, has some money.
And I saw the reel on this. It was insane. I mean, it talks about how so many people have an issue with you having a rich husband. Like, do people come up straight and ask you this?
Of course.
Like, on your face?
Of course. People have come and told me things like, you're a gold digger, you're a materialistic bitch. And women have come and told me things like, can we just be with your husband rather than you? Weird shit has happened to me, but the girls has a thick skin. But if you ask me, and I hope that never in my life my husband and I split because I love that man and I want to die with him. I never want to even assume that there might be something that happens between us. But again, for the sake of answering the question, if I have to marry all over again, and I will marry rich, I won't marry equal. And we are going to talk about why we both have this different perspective about the whole question that we asked here.
So every time you bring in a topic, I do research a little bit on psychology.
I love it. Jane and her research.
So my research here, right? This is a psychological insight for every little facet of what you've spoken about today. I've put together what theories support what mindset, like our mindsets, all right? Now, your mindset is propelled by something called the hypergamy theory. Now, this is a concept in psychology where people tend to marry up for financial stability historically, and you are not the first, of course.
Of course.
Historically, women have been more likely to choose partners with a higher economic status, while men prioritize attractiveness. This
Right.
is the norm.
Oh, haven't you watched that movie of Marilyn Monroe? It says, don't you know a man being rich is like a girl being pretty? You don't always marry a girl just because she is pretty, but you know.
I mean, this is just the law of nature. This is
Yeah.
how it's happened, and the psychology is called hypergamy. Whereas the theory that I think my thought process stems from is called equity theory, where happiness in relationships comes from a fair exchange of emotional and financial contributions, and there is lesser disparity. And the whole idea about equity theory is just that two people who are in a similar keel come together, and maybe because of that, because of the lesser disparity, there could be more compatibility. But this again,
different dynamics for different people.
people.
Which is what we're going to get into it. Like,
Yeah.
what each to your own, and we're going to see like what really contributes to it. But even before we always do, like, why are we even having this discussion? And I remember telling Jane, like last time when we were wrapping up, she's like, hey, what do we talk about next? And then we kind of like together said, let's talk about marriage in 2025. And then I asked her like, hey, would you marry again? Like, the reason I feel why are we even talking about it? And I want to give my 2 cents, and I want to hear your 2 cents about it too. Growing up, especially in a culture like India, where arranged marriages are such a norm, have you ever heard in any household where the girl's family is looking for a guy, have you ever heard the family say, oh, let's look for a broke guy?
no,
No,
never,
right?
Ever.
So while religion, caste, and all of that are priority number one, the very next priority that the guy has to be financially stable and secure to provide for a family, right?
You're absolutely bang on. So Shadi.com put out a survey saying that 80% of women, not just their families, but women prioritize
I
financial
saw that
stability over love.
And this is not
You're
just in
right.
India.
No,
It's
all across.
globally.
Global, yeah.
Globally, apparently 80% of women still look for somebody who is financially better than them.
So, I mean, I would think where you're coming from is absolutely right, because even if you look at the Adam Eve sort of, time, the man was expected to go out and hunt and
and
provide.
women gathered.
And women nurtured and
Right.
gathered, and they took care of the family. So when that happens, it automatically is that for generations together,
Right.
men have provided, women have nurtured.
The whole
You know,
1950s era of housewives and men
Exactly.
going out and working.
Exactly. I mean, things have changed. But here's something. I had an interesting discussion with my girls the other day, and I'm going to ask that to you now because I feel you would be able to totally answer this. So we middle class girls just having a discussion. We were like, we've struggled. We've said, I want to make more money. I want to go out there. I
Yeah.
want to do my thing. I'm independent. And 10 years down the line, like one of my very good friends and me were talking. We're like, dude, we should have just been that girl who got married to the rich guy, who's looking great, who's going to the gym in ship shape. Her children are happy. She's happy. She also has a life of her own. And look at us. No husbands. Figuring out what the fuck to do next in life. And we're like, did feminism really take us forward or back?
I think feminism in its true sense, it would have taken us forward. But I think, there's a great question. And I feel like, and for whatever it's worth,
Yeah.
let me tell you, not all rich men's wives go to the gym and have a great life. Some of them, most of them, unfortunately, has a life that you don't want to have. So there are pros and cons to both, of course. But I get where you're coming from. Like having the liberty of going to the gym whenever I want, having a personal trainer, driving around a Range Rover, going and traveling business class, doing vacations. So I get it. Okay, there are
Like, give
parts.
me a line of your life and I will tell you what is the middle class equivalent that I'm living. This will be fun. And this is when we were
Right.
like, dude, we should just marry rich.
I feel you. I feel like the whole feminism thing has been abused and misused and used to mislead so many women by really manipulative men in this whole fund out, like just because they are not somebody who likes to take financial responsibility, they're not somebody who has the provider mindset. They want to manipulate women, saying that if you're a feminist, we should split the bill. But bro, it's not about splitting the bill. I would love to, no problem. But what about the future? Like, if I get married to you, are we still splitting bills when I'm carrying a baby and I'm 9 months pregnant and maybe I'm in labor? Are you going to split the bill in the hospital? Or maybe like when I'm not in a position to work tomorrow just because I had a C-section, or maybe whatever, right? Are you going to ask me to work at that point? I mean, that's where the whole financial dependency comes in.
I think from a legal standpoint, this has been debated multiple times. But while you're saying this, I will talk about the case that the world especially India has been talking about. I'm sure you've heard about this. This was a 34-year-old techie from our city, Bangalore, Atul Subhash, who committed suicide, left behind a suicide note because there were 9 police complaints that were registered against him. There were false charges of murder, dowry harassment, domestic violence, and the suicide note says it was not true. The man was paying his wife 2 lakhs, and despite that, she was not letting him see his son, and his son was used as a tool of blackmailing him. And Subhash was compelled to give expensive gifts to the wife's family. Now, don't you think while men have messed up the whole patriarchal feminist system, and that is there, don't you think some women, and those women may not be in this room, but don't you think some women have also taken it too far?
Many.
This guy literally wrote a categorical list of things where he was abused, where a lot of men of my age and younger have come and asked me, dude, now if it's going to be equal, forget the bill. But if you're going to stress me out where, I'm going to literally put a gun to my head because I'm not able to provide for you. And then you're asking for alimony that's crazy money, and you don't, you use the kids to manipulate. Don't you think the manipulative side of women when it comes to financial marrying up or marrying anyone and putting the entire burden on them is also wrong?
Absolutely. I think it's not a gender issue at all. It's a human issue, who's the manipulative person here, whether it's a guy or a girl. And unfortunately, my own gender kind of does it worse. You know what I mean? I've seen multiple women just wanting to, not worried about what the husband goes through financially or whatever, just demands back to back to back, no concern about the person's mental health, no concern about the fact that the guy is also a human being. And that's what I think a lot of people assume when they see me. They kind of maybe think that I'm pressurizing my husband. I'm kind of, the dynamics are so different in every relationship.
So that brings me to the next question, right? Which is a little deeper. If you marry rich and when you know that you want that financial stability, I know, from conversations we've had off the air about how you have started your own business. You create content on an everyday basis. You have skipped holidays because you want to provide for yourself as much as your husband provides for you. So what is the responsibility you think a woman needs to have in case she marries up? So that, there is an equality as you grow, even if you're not financially, equal to that of your husband. How do you make sure he knows that you're actually truly
a kind person.
And accountable.
It begins with kindness. And also I think experiences plays a very, very important role here, Since I have been a provider myself from the age of 17, I have provided for myself, I have provided for my family, I have provided for ex-boyfriends. I really know the kind of pressure it gets to when someone, like my very last relationship just before I got married was with a person who was entirely dependent on me financially, And there were times where he really wouldn't understand where the money was coming from. He wanted his tickets to be booked. He wanted his alcohol every weekend. He wanted me to buy cigarettes that costed me $15 per cigarette. When I knew that I was taking debts to kind of even satisfy him or doing things. And having been through something like that, I don't think I will ever be able to put Gotham, because I know how it feels as a human to kind of have that pressure, which is why I feel sometimes it's so incredibly important for women to go out there and see how hard it is to make money. Making money is so difficult, go make 1 lakh. I'm asking any woman who thinks making money is easy.
I make around that much and it's not easy.
It's not. Please
because
go try.
I did tell you when I tried doing that with a startup a while ago. I won't name the person, but then I have had...
I know the person.
I've had horrendous attitude, and this coming from a woman who is herself someone who's married up. Don't you think she should be kinder to the people that she when you come from a lesser place, shouldn't you be kinder, or do you just act like you're new money and treat everybody like shit? Isn't that also, I know this is off topic.
I get where you're coming from, but I think a lot of people have this impression that once you marry up and your social status changes, being rude is being rich. And that's bullshit.
Absolutely.
Being rude is not being rich and upper class and classy, not at all. Look at anyone. Look at Warren Buffett, look at Ratan Tata, look at Nita Ambani, you name it. Look at the richest people are actually the kindest people, I think when I married Gautam, and I don't even come from middle class, I started really poor in my life, which is why I'm very grateful to my husband that he really kind of considered somebody who wasn't financially equal to him, and I'm forever grateful to him for that, And my kindness and respect grows every single day when I see the amount of stuff he does for me, for the family, and what I know he is going to do as a father to our kid. But I think I've seen this multiple times, especially women who marry up, kind of like really changes their attitude towards everybody, and that bloody sucks. That sucks. Like, you know, you cannot forget yourself, who you are. And you see this in so many, even if you watch shows like all the Real Housewives franchisee, you will see women harassing their husbands to kind of maintain a lifestyle which is not even able to keep up. And the man goes through depression, becomes an alcoholic, whatnot, you know. So the dynamic is like really, which is why the whole term of gold digger and the whole stereotyping of like she is a materialistic bitch, because many women have actually done it. Precisely why most of us who just marries up gets the name, because people love to stereotype. And that's what I want to kind of break down, saying that everybody is different, the dynamics are different, and we're going to talk more and more about it. But you know, one of the questions that I also want to ask is, you know, why is it okay that when Indian families look for a guy who is financially stable, and it's absolutely okay, and why is it not okay when a girl does it for herself? You know what I mean? Like, if my mom and dad have gotten me married to Gautam, today I would have been considered an angel by the whole of the world. You know, it's an arranged marriage, the girl, whatever. But since I chose Gautam myself, I am mostly called that I married him for money.
Which is, I think, the biggest, downside to how people look at, this generation choosing their partners. Because if you look at the current generation, at least in the cities, most people are looking for their partners themselves.
Yeah.
Now they're going on dating apps. Some of them meet people through friends, through acquaintances. Why is it that a family can choose a richer man, but you can't choose a richer man? You can't choose a daddy, or a guy can't choose a mommy, whichever way, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can marry up both sexes.
Yeah.
I think I've heard from a lot of men who've also told me that if a woman can look at it, I mean, in the current scenario, why can't I look at it? I mean, it's my preference. If my partner is okay with it, and I'm willing to, be a house husband, a dad who really takes care of the family.
Whatever works for them.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. At the end of the day, I think it's a very personal preference. If a man or a woman chooses to marry up, I think in today's time and age, you need to have that choice. Sometimes, do you think that the person who is the financially more secure person in the relationship, do you think that they feel shitty or pressured?
Yeah.
And do you talk about it? And how do you talk about it? And how do you make the inner strings of the relationship better?
I think I remember when even again, I keep bringing it back to, because I can only talk out of my experiences, and I'm like, never mind your own business. I don't poke my nose into someone else's. But I feel like in a relationship, it's bound to get pressurized. Like, I remember when I was the provider in the last 2 relationships. I had 3 relationships before Gautam. The first one, it was an equal relationship. We split everything, even a potato. The second one, I paid more than the guy. It was almost equal, but I ended up spending a little more money. Third one, the guy was entirely dependent on me, from rents to tickets to clothes to everything. And like I said, I did feel pressurized at some point. And I'm sure, sometimes when, like I said, when someone doesn't go out and earn the money, I don't think they can fathom what one goes through who goes out and brings money home. Like, it's bloody difficult. And it's easy to sit at home the whole day and keep demanding for more and more and more, because all day what you're watching is maybe Instagram and curated lifestyles and this whole fake couple goals shit, which is all about luxury vacations and branded bags and shoes and this and that. So when the moment the person's back home, all you can think of is what's the next thing you want on the list, without even considering what this person might have gone through the entire day.
So how do you then tweak that? Do you make that effort, as a wife or as a partner, to sit and have a conversation about their day? And what is their day like? Because it must be crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they'd have 100 other things to take care of. Do you think, this is the question I want to ask, when you marry up, you need to have the emotional responsibility of not using that person as a bloody bank account, but actually as a person, a human, who also in exchange wants love, stability, conversations, shared hobbies. I don't know, like, how do you fix that?
I think he's a human being, right? And I'm raised to always say that never use anybody, whether it's your husband or whoever. Thankfully so. Thanks, mom and dad, for raising me absolutely correctly. Because I think sometimes you don't even need to have a conversation. This is my husband. I notice, I observe how stressed he is on days. I observe everything. I know him as a person. It's been 4.5 years with him. So, when I see the amount of phone calls and I see his face changes sometimes, he's not eating right, I know that he's under tremendous money stress. And that's when there are days I don't even express and tell him that there's something I want, because I don't want to hurt him by making him feel like he's not able to fulfill my demands. And that's me as a wife,
So then the moral responsibility, like they say, with great power comes responsibility.
Yes.
The moral responsibility of someone who marries up is to always try and somewhere, if you can't be financially equal, at least be equal partners in every other realm of life, right?
Absolutely.
Try your level
and
best.
bring something to the table,
Yes.
right? I always say that while Gautam brings money to the table, and I do bring money to the table as well, but just that we do not bring the same amount of money. Currently,
Absolutely.
he is earning more than me, but the table might turn any day with the kind of hard work that I put in and the kind of ambitions that I have in my life. But right now, since I know he has more on his plate, I'm managing one business, he's managing four. I manage other things. He doesn't have to worry about his meals. He doesn't have to worry about the cleanliness of the house. He doesn't have to worry about how is this 8 staff people getting managed in the house. He doesn't have to worry about the dogs. He doesn't have to worry about baby planning. He doesn't have to worry about itineraries. Like literally the only responsibility that currently Gautam has is going out and working. Even scheduling when to meet his mom, his dad, advising him on business, making sure he's having fun, dragging him to the gym, making sure he's eating healthy, his yearly health checkups. You know, I take care of so much, which doesn't make it's not money, but I do bring in that to the table.
So do you think thereby, I'm going to just twist the question a little bit here, when people marry equal,
Yeah.
because you come from a background which is like, where you have had those middle class values like instilled in you, which is why
Yeah.
you're carrying this forward, don't you think when two people are equal as well, they can grow up together and also grow as a power couple and figure out life a lot more better, if not better, at least.
Yeah.
Isn't it possible?
Of course, provided
Right?
it's not just financial equality they are looking at, provided it's all sorts of equality. Like what I feel bad about, I have seen couples who are financially equal, I've been there. But even when I was financially equal with my first relationship, the expectation of coming back home and cleaning it, cooking was always me though. He somehow did not want to be an equal there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was bringing maybe more money. Actually, when I started my first relationship, the first 2 years, we earned the same money.
Right.
And then there came a point I brought in more money to the house. But somehow still, naturally, his expectation was that she takes care of the groceries, she takes care of the hygiene of the house, she takes care of the things that typically women are supposed to take care of. And that's my biggest fear. If you're looking at financial equality, I think you should also look at equality in all aspects of life.
So that is the con of marrying equal. Like if you ask me, we talked about pros and cons last
Yeah.
time. The con of marrying equal is, now when you are marrying up, when the finances are taken care of, 70% of the marriages I've read work better that way, because when you have the finances sorted, the other issues are handleable.
Yeah.
But when finances are on, when both, they call that the double income, no kids sort of a lifestyle today, like for middle class people,
Yeah.
because kids are expensive.
Very expensive. Ask
So,
me,
I
I'm paying
mean-
for my nephew.
So you know how difficult it is, right? So, when it comes to a middle class sort of a mentality, because money is a constant problem, don't you think there are more issues in marriage of equals? Because the finances is, I've literally heard so many people getting divorced because 80% of the problems stem from one place of issue, which is money.
True.
Like either the woman's making more money and there's a problem, or the man is not making enough money and that's a problem, or together they're not able to bring in enough money, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Or if it's a middle class guy, he's like, dude, I'm working fucking hard, so you also go and make money, and that is a problem.
In fact, money is one of the top 5 reasons why divorces happen globally.
Yeah, I
Can
read
you
that.
believe it?
I did
It's
read
one
that.
of the top reasons. And only if it could guarantee that if you marry financially equal, your marriage is going to last for eternity. Only if it can guarantee that if you're marrying richer, nothing can guarantee, because money isn't the only factor. There's so much more.
Absolutely.
We are all human beings, Money is definitely important in today's world to live, breathe, eat, and all of that. But I feel there's so many other things that really contributes to the success or the failure of a marriage.
Well, very rarely has it happened when two people have struggled together, gone in together, made a name for themselves, stuck together. Because
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 cases, right, from India. So now Sudha Murthy and Narayan Murthy, now she funded his dream when he was broke.
Right.
Now, of course, they are billionaires or whatever.
Yeah.
Proof that love and ambition can create generational wealth together when you grow from a smaller place. But the current generation, look at like a Mr. Goyal of Zomato. He grew with his partner while he had nothing.
Yeah.
But when he got everything, this current generation, he's just like ditched his wife and gone for
A
a
freelance, right?
model, called Gia, a
Yeah.
Spanish soap model, or
Yeah, I've
whatever.
seen her, yeah.
Now, don't you think that is something that's weird? Because if I'm going to marry an equal and die with him and struggle with him and bring him up, and I look like a haggard whatever because we've done so much together, and then he gets his wealth and then he dumps you, or now it could be a she also, whoever gets more money dumps you and goes for the just a supermodel, which all tech bros are doing. I mean, if you look at Elon Musk, Donald Trump, I mean, Donald Trump is not a tech bro, but I mean all the rich men
even
are doing
Bezos.
Yeah.
Even Bezos, he gave a amazing, the richest man in the world. He gave a great divorce settlement to his ex-wife, but right now he's with the whole lady who Mark Zuckerberg a few days ago was peeping at her boobs. The same lady. I forgot her name. Yes. But I don't know. I don't get that, right? Which is why I say that only if it could guarantee that your marriage is going to last forever, if you did this, and this, just really doesn't work out. But I think it again comes down to ethics, right? Like, what is it that money means to you? And it means different for every person.
Absolutely. I think, when, at least as a middle class person, this is what I feel. When you don't have enough of money in your account where you can do whatever, I think money always plays a huge... In fact, this debate should be the reverse, because I've not had it for so long. The only thing that me and any other middle class woman at some point is thinking is, fuck, I just want to marry rich, because it is difficult. On an everyday basis, you're paying your bills, you lose a job, you have to figure out the next job. You are literally on the... That gives you great emotional and financial freedom, and it gives you a wonderful new personality. But at the end of the day, when you want to go home and you're still struggling, of course, when you do not have money, you definitely want it.
You do, and let me tell you, since somebody who did not have money and I married up, right? Yes, back in the day, I have severe periodic pain, and back in the day, I couldn't rest 3 days in the house, and I had to go to work because I was the sole bread earner. Today, I can. My luxury is that I rest 3 days in a month. I just sleep because my husband really takes care of it. So of course there's such advantages, but I think, and for whatever it's worth, I know where you're coming from, and girls from middle class, I think most of us should have that
I lost
mentality.
my job recently, my day job, which is another podcast, it's still going to release, but I lost it because guess what? My boss said, dude, you bought a bikini on your vacation, and I'm an educational institution, Jesus. I can't fund you. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, you have certain patriarchal, misogynistic people who believe, that they can still control what you put yourself out there as. And when you do not have the money, you can't flip the finger back and say, you know what?
Yeah, of course.
You can't do that.
Of course, yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like, for example, when I quit my corporate, I finally took the decision because there was some amount of toxicity towards the end, and it was at the cost of my mental health, and I was able to just shut the laptop and say I'm not going back to work the next day because I knew Gautam was there.
Absolutely.
And he was going to be taking care of me. Of course, 100%.
So that's sort of an advantage, even if the man is not extremely rich, but if he can take care of you in that via media space between you figuring out, say you are working for somebody or being an entrepreneur, the pros of marrying up is that you can take your time, whether it's a child or a business, or you want to just get some work-life balance sorted, or you just want your marriage to work better, and because of that you've taken a little break, you can afford it. Whereas a single woman who is not married up or who is not married yet, now those are the challenges. Now I have seen Gen Z though, and that's where I'm going to bring in their point of view, because
wait, here is the thing before you go there.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want to...
Sure.
Marrying up doesn't guarantee you have a provider.
You can't.
There are people who has married up because the guy being rich doesn't guarantee the guy knows financial responsibility or the guy is a provider. I didn't marry rich, I married a provider. There is a huge difference. There has been men, I have gone on dates, several dates with men who might have had more money than Gautam before my marriage. But the reason I did not agree to marry them and I married Gautam, even though they were wealthier than my husband right now, is because I didn't see the sort of respect and the sort of provider mindset in any of those men.
Absolutely. I read about this because if sometimes when you have that sort of power and you have the money, there might be certain men who would want to use that against the woman. That's where domestic violence comes in, emotional abuse comes in.
Absolutely.
I have the money, bitch. I do whatever I want with you. There are men like that. Correct.
I wanted to press upon that, right? Like the power dynamic is so shifty at times because there are men who I know in my very own country and of course all over the globe, but where they believe that since they bring in the money to the table, the girl's just like nothing, she's worth of no respect. All she has to do is stay home, do your chores, I make all the decisions. She's not She doesn't even get included in making all those decisions. So even that exists, which is why I always say the grass is always greener on the other side. Yes, but there are also women who struggles with rich men. Like, luckily, like I said, I made, and this is why we're having this discussion. Like, just, it's never about marrying rich. It's about marrying somebody. It's not it's not about marrying a billionaire or a multimillionaire. Marry somebody who really has the provider mindset.
I think so. I mean, I feel even when, on my side of things, even when you marry a middle class person or you marry equal, more than the money, if the person does not have that genetic ability to think that I want to provide, I want to defend her, I want to support her, I want to be there for her, I want to bolster her. Because right now, 90% of the men, at least in this generation, have passenger princess treatment in their head. They want to be the princesses, they want the flowers, they want the chocolates, they want to be driven around, they want to be pampered.
Those men, please marry rich.
Please,
yes. Do not marry equal, because I cannot have that girl go through it. Like, if you want to be princess, then you marry a provider. There are also women who have provider mindsets. You need to find those, because you don't marry in a girl who is.
I mean, if there isn't a provider in a marriage, I think then it's just trouble. It is just going to crumble, and it's not going to work out. So I feel more than the money, like you said, the attitude of saying that I'm going to take care of my girl, I'm going to make sure if she has her periods, I'm going to more than fuck money in that aspect.
I'll give you an example right after this of what happened yesterday on my second day of periods.
Yeah, I'm going to get her heating pad. I'm just going to watch something with her. I'm just going to take her out on a tiny date. I'm going to make her breakfast. Small things like this. So this provider mentality could make the man richer than the money that he actually brings in, is what I feel.
Yeah, because and I don't even want to say it, because you guys might put evil eye on my marriage, and God bless, God bless me, bless God, and bless our marriage for eternity.
Let's just take that evil eye and throw it out. Yeah.
But I'm going to say the story. Okay, so I have, like I said, I have bad periodic pain, and yesterday was my second day of periods, and I was dying with pain. And I was like, Gautam, what's your plan for the day? Are you really busy? He's like, what's up? I'm like, I'm really down. So you know what he does? He says, all right, I'll be with you the whole day. He brought me at every period, by the way, he brings me my hot water bag and make sure that it's heated. He puts it on my back, switches it to my stomach. And then he watches TV with me whole day. And then I passed out. And he also had to work. So he brought in all his meetings home. So he did all of his meetings at home so that he was available for me. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, he didn't have to spend a single buck on me yesterday. It's not like he took me to Louis Vuitton or to Prada or got me a Chanel bag or something. No, he didn't spend a single buck. He wanted to order ice cream. I didn't even make him spend on that. I was like, just be with me, like, if you can. And if not, and it's the little arrangements that he makes that really makes me fall for him every single day,
I think that's beautifully said, because that is the kind of rich I want to marry. Like, you have the money, great, but you have this mindset where you actually care a fuck about your woman. Yeah. Because if you look at relationships today, and I'm sure you talk to friends, and I'm sure you talk to single women like me, we are meeting men who actually don't give a fuck, a flying fuck. Yeah. I mean, they're going from one girl to another, they're going from one partner to another, they have their own dreams and ambitions, and the woman is not even on the priority list. Whether they're married to her, sometimes they're married to her, they don't care. Sometimes the girlfriend, and they don't care, and they don't just give a fuck. That's the current
really
thing.
Sad.
And so they're poor in just basics, just bare basics.
I have met at least 100 men before I found Gautam.
Yeah,
imagine.
And you think 97%
99 of them were 99 of them were.
So the bigger question is, how do you find the 1% who's up in terms of finances, at least a little bit, or most importantly, up in terms of actually being a fucking man, dude?
Yeah, I mean, that's when you have to start valuing yourself and really filtering. Because since I learned so much from the last relationships of what not to look for, when I started considering marriage, I knew exactly what I was looking for. It was no longer a 6 feet tall guy. It was no longer abs. It was no longer this, that looks or whatever. It was no longer about anything. It was just about how kind the guy was. Are we going to be taking each other's opinions in everything that we decide? We are very respectful towards each other. I think when I was talking to him today, like Akshay, who is filming us right now, and I was telling him, that, hey, what works between him, because he's just 23 years old and I'm 36, and I was like, hey, what really works between me and my husband is that we are very respectful towards each other. We always take each other's opinions, and we do these small little things. And I'll share more and more, because I feel girls only see my bags. Please do also hear what is it that I finally did to choose the right man, you know. I get nasty comments from people. Oh, you chose a really old fat guy. What the hell? This, that. And I'm like, fuck you. This man, what he has offered me, none of you fucking motherfuckers could give it to me with all your six packs and with all your bloody whatever, you know. So that's what matters.
I do want to bring it back to the last sort of like segment here, which is the younger generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. My question here, and I've read enough about this, I took down, what they're thinking about and how they're looking at. A 2020 survey, which is not even as recent as, now, 2025, has said only 57% of Indian Gen Z aspire to get married and have children. There is a shift from traditional norms, and unlike previous generations, they are looking at a more deliberate approach, seeking clarity and understanding in financial matters before making commitments. Now, 63% of Indian Gen Z prefer live-in relationships where both partners contribute equally before considering marriage, reflecting a pragmatic approach to relationships. So tell me, like with us, I understand with millennial women, there's still that I've almost switched sides. But what about the younger generation or population where marriage in itself looks unstable?
I feel bad. I mean, I feel like they've seen too much, you know. I feel like with the starting from baby boomers, the divorces got little,
higher numbers.
And then came the Gen X, which is my husband's generation. He's divorced himself. I'm his second wife. And then of course millennials who are divorcing right, left, and center because more and more women were educated, more and more women were financially independent,
and they're not taking shit anymore.
More women stopped taking shit. Relationships are purely based on love and respect and understanding, nothing else. So of course, I don't blame Gen Z or Gen Alpha. I can't even go to Gen Beta because I don't know if they're ever going to even know the word marriage by the time we get there. And I don't blame Gen Z. I feel like they've seen enough shit and they have seen how short-lived relationships could be.
In their own house. Like
in their own houses.
Parents having
extramarital affairs, infidelity, or, maybe both mom and dad. I don't even know.
There's so much of generational trauma. I mean, they've seen... So I've had young people come and tell me, dude, I don't believe in marriage because all that I've seen from the time I've grown up is my parents fucking fighting all the time. So do I want to do that? Or do I just want to have a partner who I grow with and we see where it goes and we keep it fluid? Do you think a fluid sort of a relationship is what it's going to become? And then how does this financial stability, do you think then it's going to come? Because I don't know if you read a stat, I don't know the exact stat, but it says in a couple of years, about India and women in general across the world are going to, 40% are going to be single.
Yeah, I mean, Japan is already leading the charts, you know that, right? I wrote this stats about Japan a few days ago where their marriage rate and the birth rate is really reducing drastically, and the government is worried about why the hell this is happening because more and more women are deciding not to marry and not to have children
because there is a fear, right?
Because most of the times once you have a child, the responsibility is entirely on the lady. Yes, and she's basically screwed.
Yeah, she has to also, now you have to understand, because these men want us to be equal, we got to go work, we got to take care of the house, we got to take care of the finances, the family,
you got to have
every
a baby,
damn thing. Yes.
And then when he's done and there's another hotter chick, he's gone. And then you have to take care of the baby.
Yeah,
so you lose your body, you lose your time, you lose your sanity. So so women are like, fuck this shit. You are so irresponsible. Men are so irresponsible sometimes. I'm so sorry to say. I don't know what the hell is going on with you guys. Get your shit together because you want to really have this natural...
But if they're not going to get their shit together, okay, what happens to the women who are going to be left single? Where do you think financially? I'm asking you, where do you think the world's going to go if all these women are going to be single? In my case, I have an answer because I come from a family where I know that I will be taken care of to the end no matter what. So I have that, but not everybody has that. So what then happens? How do these women... so I read this very interesting article about these 6 friends who've decided to buy an apartment in Goa where they've invested and they're all putting in money, and because the men are not there, the men that we're meeting are so shit, they've decided that let's just stay together and let's support each other and let's just do a sisterhood together.
I feel like there's going to be more bisexuality, there's going to be more lesbians, but no, jokes apart, I really feel like women are really going to get even more and more hyper independent. It's getting there. Whether or not they intend to get married or be with a guy, it's just really, reality has hit us hard. We know what's out there for us. We know the way things really pan out finally there is social media, there are people are talking about it. So it's just wise. People are being more wise and pragmatic, like you said, rather than being just this whole emotional thing of at 22 or 23 you have to get married.
Exactly. That 22, 23, I mean, a content creator, friend of mine, Rida Tarana, she's a Muslim woman.
A great content creator.
There's a fantastic creator. I mean, she's 25, for a Muslim not to be married at that age and to be independent, making more money than her parents ever did.
Yeah.
It's a great thing that women are doing it, but the more and more women I see who are independent like that, the more and more men are, so like, they're so scared.
Can't handle it.
They can't handle it because a woman is now becoming the man. She is becoming more androgynous. She's becoming more like the, alpha in the relationship. So there is a power dynamic shift towards like the end of our generation, which is like starting from Gen Zs and Gen Alphas. And I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel women are going to have to just go up themselves, because
which is a good thing. Why not? To do it, like whatever rocks your boat, honey. Like, and I don't even understand this term that women are becoming more and more like men. What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Just because we don't want to.
Just because we make money, just because we take decisions, just because we have personal autonomy, which is supposed to be bloody basic and fundamental, doesn't mean that we're trying by saying that we're becoming more manner superior. Is that what men are saying? No, this is how it should always have been.
They are intimidated by it.
For sure.
And they don't know how to handle it.
Because they are not used to it.
Yeah,
they're used to seeing their moms cooking and cleaning for their dads. They're used to seeing their moms bearing infidelity. They're used to seeing their mom bearing violence. They're
abuse,
used to seeing their
rape,
moms abuse
rape.
from in-laws, from all around, and still keeping quiet for the sake of the family.
And suddenly here is this wild woman he meets, and he just doesn't know. I mean, wild in the sense
she's a bitch.
Yeah,
because you're not taking shit, bitch. So you gotta take shit like my mom did.
Exactly.
Shut your mouth. I'm gonna beat you up, but keep quiet because my mom did. Keep quiet and cook for me because my mom did. And I told my mom, like, my mom and dad were so cool. Like, and that's why I think I come from a very kind place, because my mom worked for 35 years of her life. My dad worked himself. He was a fantastic provider, but they both brought money to the table. And I remember days, they were so cool that being baby boomers. Since my mom was more educated than my dad, I remember my dad would say things to her like, "Oh, so you're back from office, you work so hard. Why don't you teach the kids, and I will cook dinner."
That's wonderful.
Because I am not as educated as
Where
you are.
are the men like that?
Which is what happened. I lucked out with my dad. I lucked out with my husband. I lucked out with my son, my nephew Ronnie, who's 15 years old today. I think I'm raising a fantastic boy, and I cannot wait to show you the world. And I'm showing off here a little bit because I did hard work on that guy. But I think it's just more and more such men are needed, so that women are not triggered to be there, because naturally we are really, really, really meant to bear and nurture and groom and be the custodians of culture and tradition and religion. But are you going to let me be in my feminine energy? Because if you don't, then I have to be in my masculine energy, and you don't like it.
We're forced to switch, and now when you switch, you don't like it. And then I don't know, like, at the end of the day, when you're switching from your feminine to your masculine, some energy dynamics are being shaken, right?
That's because naturally we are not that.
And now you're becoming that because you're forced to become that, and then it becomes a question mark of,
she's not divine enough.
Yes, she's not a woman enough for me. She's too wild for me. I can't take her home because my parents will not accept. Random shit like that. So I think what's gonna happen from here is gonna be a little bit of a shit show for a while, until, like you said, maybe the next generation of men, boys are raised right by their current, millennial counterpart mums, will at least understand that there has to be equality and kindness and love and respect and conversations and constant conversations in order to build this equality up again, because right now it's not nice.
It's not. And do allow the woman to be in her divine self. I really am telling you, it brings out the best in her. I'll give you a solid example, again, personal. When I was dating all of those men before Gotham, I was not in my divine energy because I was going out, I was working, 10, 12-hour shifts every day to bring in the money that I had to bring into the table. I was coming back home and cooking. I was taking my dog for a walk. I was sending money home. I was literally doing everything, right? What a man was supposed to do, as well as what a woman is supposed to do. Now, because of this, I feel like I really wasn't blossoming as a woman. And I remember, to blow off steam, I smoked cigarettes, I drank alcohol, I went out to clubs, I had to party. I was becoming a man, honestly speaking. But then look at the switch. The moment I got married to a provider, I have quit alcohol. I might drink alcohol maybe once or twice in a year. I do not smoke anymore. It's been more than 5 years. I take care of this house so beautifully. I'm in my divine feminine self.
I think that's a perfect example because I feel that most women now are stuck in that divine energy
Right,
because you're so messed up with everything that's
you're
going
having
on.
to also be the masculine persona that you are not meant to be.
So maybe it's the tip then, if you find a man who's a provider, whether it's money or money and emotions and all of that, you settle.
See what it
Otherwise,
brings out of you.
Yeah, that's the
gotta-
kind of man you'll have to look
That's
at.
what I want you to do.
That's
and
what
it's
I want you to
nothing
look
to
at.
do with, hey Jane, marry a guy just because you're going to be in a Rolls Royce, or marry a guy just because you have to sit with your legs up and you can do. No, I mean, I didn't give up my job for almost 3 years into the relationship. I continued working. I gave up my job when my business started giving me the same or more money than my salary did. When my content creation started paying me more, I still work, right? So it's never about, oh, I just want to like rest for the rest of my life. I think it's about how you're going to blossom once you are with somebody who has a provider mindset, and then come to me and talk to me. And that's what I will always encourage every single woman to do. I love that you guys are so hyper independent. You guys want to marry equal. Fantastic. Be the feminist that you are. But I'm just saying, why don't you guys try for once being with a guy who has a provider mindset and see what that does to you? Because I can only show you me, but experiencing it your own self is going to be so beautiful.
I think a woman being in her divine energy,
It's just
feminine
gorge.
energy is wonderful, because if we all had that, and it would be a way better world, because there'd be balance again.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
universe is all about balance.
And right now there is a definite imbalance.
imbalance.
And so if you can find a provider, fantastic. But if you do not find a provider,
Then you are your own provider.
be
I mean,
that
yeah,
provider.
be the
You'll
provider.
have to do the whole masculine, feminine energy.
Yeah.
What do you think for women who cannot find the provider? How do they sense the balance? Like, how do they get, they preserve their feminine energy, but they
Yeah.
also, they don't get into this whole smoking and drugs and dating apps, that entire, it's a whirlwind down there.
Of course. And that's my advice, is to
Because
rather be alone.
You can't find one, like you can't just say,
You can't. You can. There's
you
no
can't
guarantee.
just rub the genie, right?
Of course you can.
It's not going to happen.
I really feel like you'd rather be with yourself than being with the wrong person,
I
men
get
or
that.
women. Because
Yeah.
I feel like when you are with the wrong person, it brings the worst out in you. It happened to me. I have said things that I will regret for the rest of my life. I cannot imagine those words came out of my mouth in previous relationships. It really brought out the worst in me. I behaved in ways that I will never want to behave. Like, I can't even explain to you guys. And then I have also tried I have been alone for 2 years of my life, and I think that was one of the best phases of my life. And
you think that's important sometimes? If you don't meet the right person, I feel you need to
don't
stop.
settle. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
take a break, take a
Sure.
breather, wait for it, because sometimes it doesn't come to you at that point
You
in time.
didn't. Like I said, when I was single for 2 years, after those 3 horrific 16 relationships that spanned over 16 years, I didn't find Gotham immediately. I was single, and there were so many guys when you're single. Like, a pretty girls, it's not easy to be single. There's someone out there all fucking day, bro. And I was like, no, bro. Like, no. And like I said, 100 men, maybe I said no to easily 100 men. Not everybody was waiting on their knees to put a ring on me.
But they at least asked you out.
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever,
And I was like,
Yeah.
no, because I knew that little 2 hours was also going to just either give me anxiety or bring out the worst in me, or want me to get out of my divine self.
So
And I
you
didn't.
protect your energy.
I protect my divine energy for sure.
When you are being fucked by life and
Yes.
men continuously,
Yes.
take that break, work on yourself, because I see a lot of women do that these days.
It's amazing.
Because until you pour love into yourself and confidence into yourself and that heart into yourself, I don't think you're attracting the right energy.
Yeah.
Because in the last decade, I've been attracting shit energy.
That's because
So-
you are maybe giving shit to yourself.
Exactly.
Because I did that.
Exactly. And when you're in that toxic cycle, then you're not going to break out of
You
it, right?
cannot, and that loop is very hard to break, by the
Yeah.
way. I took 16 years. Sorry, look who's talking. I took 16 years to break a loop of really violent relationships because I didn't love myself enough.
Do you think that sometimes that vicious circle or that loop is essential in order to understand what is safe? Or do you think that
I
abuse
hope
is not necessary?
No, I
it's
hope
not, right?
It's not. I mean, it's always, this is a very fancy thing to say, that you learn from your experiences and all of that, and karma and this and that. But I feel like one of the reasons why people like us talk out is so that people don't have to go through that, and you can just hear from other people's. I mean, don't be blind.
You have to
learn
go
from
through
others'
those-
experiences.
I think
yeah.
those karmic cycles, this generational
tough,
trauma
mate.
cycles, this hardcore,
It's
horrible relationships. Like this year actually made this mindset that I've dated all through my 30s, thinking that, something might happen. But now I've just put a pause to it because I'm like, if it's long term, great. If it's not, I'm gonna not do another situationship, breadcrumbing. There are some 150 Gen Z terms for
Stick
what
to
people are
nano
doing.
ships. It's a 2-second lap. You see, like the person you move on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I think it takes away from your energy. So sometimes being in your own, protecting your
beautiful.
energy, loving yourself, being happy with what you are, will probably bring you something better in the future.
Yeah, and I think it does because when I spent those 18 months alone, and today one of the reasons I think Gautam also respects me so much, and because I respect myself so much, I know for a fact that whether he exists or not, I will do fine. I have done fine. I have lived in a house, paid my own security deposit for 17 years in my life in Bangalore, paid my own rent, did my own job, took care of my own dog, took care of my mom and dad. I traveled on vacations that were lovely as well. Maybe I didn't travel business class, but my economy was great. So I know that I am capable of taking care of my own self, if need be.
Absolutely, and that's important even when you have a person who's like married up, because ultimately nobody wants to marry a baby and manage it, right?
Ooh,
they want
no.
somebody who's also, if not the money, like as much as they do, they want somebody who's self-sufficient, right?
Absolutely,
because nobody wants to marry a liability,
No
right?
one, no
yeah,
one.
because they need to understand that you bring the right energy. Like the couple I was just talking about, the guy was like, the one thing I love about this girl is she's taken a year off and gone to, I think, Dharamshala, spent some time with herself, understood that there is a certain sense of spiritual growth that she has herself undergone, to be kind, to be understanding, to be loving, and he says that centers him. So sometimes what a woman brings into a relationship with this divine energy is
so important.
Is there could be peace, there could be calm,
there could
these
be
are
baggage.
words, there could be baggage.
I remember because when I got into a relationship with Gautam, before that I went through like therapy every week because I didn't want to bring the baggage of those violent relationships to this marriage.
Absolutely.
And I still work on that, by the way. I do not, there are situations where because of what my exes have done to me and cheated on me, there are times I might assume that Gautam is doing a certain thing and bring that baggage
It's
to
a very
him.
interesting point, because I think a lot of my friends have told me that sometimes I get toxic because of the toxicity of the
What
previous
you carried.
relationship, and the current man is just not able to understand because he's like, I don't deserve to go through
He
that.
doesn't
right?
deserve it. He doesn't have to understand.
You're right. So we got to break that toxicity ourselves, right?
You didn't mean to, like how I expected Gautam to not bring me baggage from his past marriage and whatever happened between him and his ex-wife. I'm going to be a friend. I'm always there to hear him out and all of that. That's different. But you cannot bring in those kind of insecurities like his whatever. Like if somebody cheated on you, you can't think that I'm going to cheat on you just because someone did that to you. You have to see me for who I am. So it is a lot of work, and this came up because you said your friend went to Dharamshala, she did whatever, and I respect her for that because you got to do that work on yourself, for yourself, because no one deserves to take your shit. Whether it's your husband, your mother, your father, you gotta take your shit yourself.
I mean, and here's a place where I would say that is the place I'm at, where I need to take that year off.
Yeah.
To, say no to all the toxicity that I have faced. So sometimes it's not just about looking outside, but also looking inside.
Right? Yeah, that's most important.
If you do not work on yourself, it's very difficult for somebody else to work with you.
Yeah, and see what you attract once you really have that kind of energy. I'm sure you'll attract one of the best providers ever, and then we will chill together maybe in Seychelles.
I love that. So, I mean, that's a long episode.
It's a long episode. We need to stop. We're going to come back in another episode. But yeah, thank you very much, you guys. I mean, I hope that we covered as much as we could. We always try to bring in our experiences and be as open and as candid as we can because we really care for all you people out there, not the worst ones, the good ones. That's the intention.
I mean, even the worst ones, if you learn something out of it, why not? I mean, there could be somebody who is at this point abusing his girlfriend or his wife because he's just up there, or there's a woman out there who's really struggling
manipulating her men or whatever. Like,
exactly.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, I really feel the only thing that I want to call out, and I've been seeing this constantly with my friends, with my family, is I think kindness. When I go home, I see my brother and his wife, or I see my mother and my dad, I see the one thing that has made them last through the years, touch wood, is kindness. I mean,
and respect.
And a lot of respect and a lot of equal conversations where even if my dad belonged to a very patriarchal setup, the way over the last 41 years of their marriage, he has constantly reinvented himself.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because
change is possible.
It is absolutely possible. He said, here's a kind woman who's given me 2 children and who really gives a fuck about the family. So I will now become a better man. And I see that, men can change.
Kudos, uncle.
Yeah, women can change. And I think think it's about kindness, equality, respect. And
Absolutely.
if you don't have that,
then no matter you marry up or marry down, it's going to crumble one day or the other.
But marry up overall.
I
have switched my mind. Yes.
Remember, if you have men's going to do shit to you, but if you have to cry, you'd rather cry in a Range Rover, honey. Not in an auto rickshaw, okay? Alright, we'll see you in another one, lovely people. Thank you so very much. Don't forget to hit subscribe, comment, share, follow. Let us know if there are any other episodes.
And
Let
if
us know their experiences.
Your experiences in the comments. And if you want topics,
tell us.
You tell us. Leave it in the comments and we will definitely talk about it.
Signing off, you guys, from the Komo Show. Ta-da! Bye. Love you. Bye.